Hey, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Hey, wanted to talk. Oh, it's Jeff, by the way, highertrustmarketing.com, in case you don't know. I wanted to talk to you about a three-stage plan for transitioning, first of all, for starting, and then transitioning from a side hustle, which has been a cool new term. It's been coined and it's kind of, become popular in the last year or so, but it's in fact always been around. How most people start their businesses in reality, how you transition out of that side hustle phase and how you get into a full-time phase and kind of scale your business and get to a point where it's your livelihood, it's your new lifestyle, it's your new, it's making your dreams come true, lifestyle and business dreams come true. So I want to talk about 3 steps. I'm going to start with the first step is really all about getting started. And getting started really means finding some place to enter the fold, finding one type of business to put your foot into the water and feel the temperature and start learning things. See, you're not going to ultimately know what your full-time business is going to end up to be until you have some practical experience, until you can jump into your market and get some direct feedback from your market and understand, what your market sees valuable in you, and understand what you see valuable to your market, and you match those 2 things up and you come up with something really magical and big in the markets itself. So the whole point of getting started is exactly that. It's to start learning. So what might you get started with? Well, it could be freelance work. It could be doing some service work for someone. It could be doing some initial consulting to network with your customers or your market. It could be building websites. It could be starting content streams so that you're starting to build an audience through your content and just share with people, and you'll understand a little bit more about what works and what doesn't work. It could be building e-commerce sites and seeing what sells and what doesn't. All of that kind of thing. Those are all potential ways that you could enter the market and just dip your toe in as a side hustle, right? And I think the biggest thing to remember at this phase is you're not looking for a home run at this point. You're looking for a first base hit, right? To use a baseball analogy, you're looking for a single. You're looking for, to try 3 or 4 different things and understand which of those 3 or 4 things is sort of getting you the most response. And in doing so, you start to network, you start to get to know a few people on the partnership side, on the customer side, and you start to understand what they see as valuable on the customer side and even your partners. And so the whole point of this, and this can take anywhere from literally a couple of weeks to a few months, right? Depending on how aggressive you are, depending on how much you jump in, depending on how much you try, depending on how good you are at detecting what's working and what's not. But the whole point, again, is not to hit that home run. See, this is where many people get it wrong and they get discouraged and they stop because they're expecting that home run in that first phase. And that home run doesn't happen in the first phase. And some people look at any successful businessman, they might exist in phase 1 for years, honestly. Some of the big names. They may have failed with an initial business. They may have pivoted multiple times. They probably have. They may have even failed with their own branding at one point and transitioned into something else. But using the system we have over at infomarketerzone.com, I'll put a link down below. We actually take people through an upfront portion of that course that helps them sort of figure out and speed this process up, speed number 1 up, where you can try a few things. First of all, you can get to know yourself, your own strengths and weaknesses, understand which markets need what, and how to figure out what those markets need and desire. So it cuts the timing down significantly on step 1 so that you can jump right into step 2, because step 2 is all about taking what you've learned in step 1, all the feedback of what didn't work. Most of what you do probably won't be a home run, like I said, in that step 1. But you should have a nugget of something you come out of step 1 with, understanding, okay, that's of value to customers. And maybe you're capable of providing that the next day because it's information you have or a skill you have or talent you have or experience you have. maybe it's not. Maybe you need to spend a couple of weeks building up your knowledge base, building up your skill base. Maybe you need to bring someone else in with you. Maybe you need to outsource some things in the beginning. But the whole point is your primary research in step one has given you more confidence, more belief, more understanding, more knowledge, more experience of what that market needs so that you can pivot. And the whole point of number two is to pivot into your primary business. And that's the thing, that's going to be your solid foundation for the home run that we talked about in step one, right? So all of step one is trying things, experimenting, building networks, building your repository knowledge, your feedback from customers of all the stuff that doesn't work so that you can focus on the thing that does work the best. And the thing that does work for bad, the other mistake a lot of people make is they assume, okay, well, a good friend of mine was really successful over here. He was doing e-com, and he's got a 6-7 figure Amazon store. Well, okay, that works for him. It can work for different people. But the reality of it is, it may not work for you because that may be not your thing. It may be not something that gets you excited, that you work night and day on, right? So you've got to find that thing that's going to work for you, and that's the other point of step number one is all of this getting the singles. You want to get a single that you can turn into a home run, right? You want to miss the ball just enough that with a little bit of corrective action, I can stick with this, I can practice enough and hit a home run, right? So you'll understand from that weeks to few months what you're capable of hitting a home run in and what you want to hit a home run and what you want to stick with for a few months. And probably stick with a couple of years after that in terms of building that home run, right? So the whole point of two is to build on one, find what you can set as your foundation, and then of course number three is all about scaling. So how do you scale? How do you build a team? Who do you start with in terms of your team? What's most important for you? We work with a lot of people creating digital product business, digital branding. They create their own products. And the important part of that is it's leveraged income. It's something you can scale into home run because you can build it once and sell it many, many times. Well, you may want to bring someone on board to do the marketing side of your business and build content and build attention and build, or you may want to bring somebody in that's mostly in research and get those products built for you if your strength is in reaching your audience and delivering the message and gaining interest and attention, right? So number three is all about figuring out where you belong in the business. What does the business need? What are the 2 or 3 other things besides you? What can you bring? And then what are the 2 or 3 other things that can really blow this thing up and turn, what's maybe a 6-figure into a 7-figure opportunity by scaling it, by bringing in some either consultants or full-time employees or partners. It might be a matter of building a huge affiliate sales force. It could be that you need somebody to go out and just sell for you. It could be you need someone to build content. It's still your content, it's still your words, but you need them to do all the graphic stuff. You need to be pervasive. You need somebody to manage your ad network. You may want to scale through ads, and you need somebody that's an expert in paid advertising, right, to work with you. So all of those things are ways of scaling up, and that's what number three is all about. So those are the 3 steps, right, in terms of finding a side hustle that works for you, finding out how to hit that single, right? How do you find that first thing after trying 2 or 3 things over a period of weeks or months? And then figuring out the one thing that you're going to base all of your success on as a foundation. And then number 3, how do you scale that and turn it into something really big and really exciting? And those are the 3 steps that we followed. We have thousands of people within our infomarketerzone.com business that follow that pattern. And so that's it. I'll leave a link down below where you can find out more. Okay, thanks.